白岩学園3年 B 組の皆さん、こんにちは。
はい、こんにちは。
All right. Okay. So, let's see here. Transition back to the main. I think we are go. I'm confident. Fairly confident. Oh god. Okay. Alright. I think I know what's going on. Alright. Very good. Okay. So then, I was going to read something, but I ended up not... I saved the wrong thing, and now I foolishly ended up in a position where I don't have anything to read. So I'm really bummed out about that. I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and read some Nietzsche, because that's a reasonable thing to do. I freaking love Nietzsche. Alright. Okay. Let's see here. Before I go any further with that, though, are there any semi-amusing things? Okay, I guess a brief bit of vlog posting. My little edit is coming along swimmingly. Unfortunately, there's one aspect that actually did fall out from underneath me. I thought that one section was completely well edited. Turns out it was not. So, I'm having to go through and redo an entire section, which is not cool. The vast majority of it is excellent, so I don't have to worry about most of it. It's just one section that I don't like, but it's not bad. Ooh, excuse me. Because once I actually deal with this one section, it's going to be fantastic. So, what do you call it? I think the sort of half takeaway there is just keep plugging away, man. If you ever have like a project that you're dealing with, just keep freaking plugging away. Strangely enough, you will end up finding at some point, sooner or later, you'll just have a breakthrough, and it's going to be weird, and it's going to be awesome. You're not going to know what to make of it, and just ride the wave, man. Just go with it. And surprisingly enough, good things will happen. The one section that I didn't think was going, or rather the one section that I didn't have quite proper like. Strangely enough, I had a weird creative burst today for no reason at all. So I ended up forming a clean third of that one section that, no, not a third, no, it's less than that, it's like a fifth, but 1/5 of it I ended up just basically hammering out almost immediately. So that's really, really good news. At any rate, the point is, even if you have a setback, go with it. You'll find an out. You'll find some kind of a solution sooner or later, somehow. It's the weirdest thing. So absolutely, if you've got a project, power through it. Strangely enough, just by showing up and by just doing things in general, you will find over time that you will somehow end up plowing directly through walls. You will go over speed bumps. You will move mountains. So always power through. As they say, never surrender, never give up. Oh, it's the other way around. Never give up, never surrender. Yeah, that's right. At any rate, I am going to read another passage from Nietzsche, because I freaking love Nietzsche. And let's see here. Actually, let's see. I think my cat is going to do something. Let me go ahead and actually transition to a song briefly, because I'm going to need just a moment to do a couple of things to make sure that everything is completely good for what I hope is going to be the rest of the stream. So my apologies. I'm going to transition to music, and then I'm going to go ahead and read some Nietzsche. I believe this is Lone Breeze Out. All right, here we are. In 3, 2, 1.
Stealing flowers and then like breaking into this girl's building and then just like throwing the flowers all in front of her door. I don't know, I got into like graffiti and way more. I never cared about like getting up. I just wanted like one girl to see it. I'll just like go bombing in spots I know she'll walk past, you know. So it all comes down to girls, man. It all comes down to girls that break my heart.
right, that was Breeze Out by Lone, and my cat is absolutely retarded. For reasons that I'm sure everyone will understand. Animals are generally retarded, and it seems like there's nothing that I can do about it. Okay, hopefully everything will be nice and easy and pleasant for the rest of the stream. I doubt it, because apparently it's just not the way things are going, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, continuing on. Alright. I think I am going to read, I kind of want to go in order for some reason. I kind of want to just go from one to the next. So this is from Friedrich Nietzsche's book, Die Fröhliche Wissenschaft, translated into English, The Gay Science. And this is a part of his Prelude in Rhymes. So he has quite a few rhymes. Let's see here. It looks he's got 63 rhymes. I read number 1 yesterday. And today I think I'm going to go ahead and read number 2. And hopefully I will understand it. That's not always going to be easy, given that he was out of his mind on probably syphilis. So it goes. But it probably makes sense. We'll probably understand it. So here we are. Okay. This is My Happiness by Friedrich Nietzsche. And of course, just so we're all on the same page, this is translated from German into English. So it's not going to be the cleanest translation possible, and I'm sure there are going to be nuances and secondary meanings and associations that I will miss. Ooh. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so here we are. This is My Happiness by Friedrich Nietzsche. Since I grew tired of the chase and search, I learned to find, and since the wind blows in my face, I sail with every wind. What the hell? That is a really weird poem. Alright, I gotta read that again because it doesn't make any sense at all. Alright, here we go. So he rhymes, rather the translator rhymes chase and face, and then he rhymes find and wind. So that's a weird, it looks as though in German the rhymes are Ward and Widerpart, and then Finden and Winden. So it looks like in German Finden and Winden, they do rhyme, but once you translate them into English, they don't quite. So it's a little gawky, it's a little weird, but we're just going to go ahead and go with it. Alright, so, trying it again. Since I grew tired of the chase and search, I learned to find. And since the wind blows in my face, I sail with every wind. Good God, I honestly am not sure what the hell he's talking about. I really don't know. I want to know. It would be nice if there was some kind of coherent thought line going on there. I mean, it seems as though, let's see here, he's tired of the chase and the search. He learned to find. So it seems as though he's just, okay, so my cat is not interested. When I play with my cat, for some reason, she doesn't actually care about eviscerating things. She only cares about chasing things. So as long as I move my hand around, or a piece of string, or a little bit of laser, my cat will go nuts, just crazy chasing things. And the second she actually catches the thing that she chases, she doesn't care. She stops caring immediately. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Nietzsche seems like he might be talking about. So he grew tired of chase and search, and he learned to find. So in a way, you could almost say that there's a lot of energy being wasted on chasing and searching. Kind of a young man's deal. I get that. And then learned to find. So I guess it's the idea of finding a place where you just are. and not worrying about wasting a lot of energy unnecessarily on silly things that don't make any sense or are irrelevant. And then it goes on to say, and since the wind blows in my face, I sail with every wind. So it almost seems as though he's kind of remaining static and allowing nature to take its course in a way. So he's not the one that's chasing things. Rather, the movement is not coming directly from him intentionally. There is movement on his part, but it's passive. So he's already found his center, and he knows that things will move him about, but he's going to refrain from being too concerned about where the winds blow him. I think that's kind of the impression that I'm getting. I'm not sure if that's 100%. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Okay, fair enough. So Nietzsche, being a weird, freaking oblique, strange guy, we're going to go ahead and call that the poem for the day. That's fine. That's cool. I'll go with it. I thought that I was going to go over to the library today to go and fetch the latest copy of Change Links, which is the progressive newspaper for the west side of Los Angeles. And alas, I did not go to the library today, so I'm going to try to get over there tomorrow, because I really want to try to find another one of those Theater of the Oppressed events, because the last one that I went to was fantastic. It was so much fun. Dabbing on like 25-ish leftists was just incredible. That was a great experience, and it would be great to T-pose on them next time, since that was in fact the goal. The goal was to T-pose, and I still feel bad about failing to perform. So I'm going to do what I can to go for it. That said, I think I want to go ahead and check the chat briefly and see where we are. I'm going to have to pop out the chat because there's always a hell of a lot of chat going on. Okay, where are we? Oh, check it out. Three of our freaking Sperg Lords did totally wander in. Cool. Apparently they have not left us just yet. So to the hate watchers, hey guys, what's going down? Okay, let's see if we have any ats. I don't see any ats at the moment, which is just fine. Let's see here. No, I'm not seeing too much. Oh, let's see here. Elaine Sabatino says Faustian Spirit had her on as a guest. Tom Anderson, see here. Joe Shigur. I'm not sure what that's all about. Let's see here. House of Faust. I'm not sure what's going on there. Probably. Let's see here. Veronica. I don't know who Veronica is. I wonder. Curious. I'll have to look into that. And yes, Travis Hund, Nietzsche was absolutely an autist and a Sperg Lord. All you have to do is read enough of the guy and you're like, oh my god, this guy's out of control. And he really was, so it's absolutely the case. And Toast Stone, I'm not confident that my cat will react well to the spray gun or to the squirt gun, so I think I'm going to cool off on that idea for now. If I look at her with angry eyebrows and say no, she typically just settles down with whatever it is she's going to do. For the most part, thankfully. The only thing that she seems to do is just claw on the couch, which is irritating as all hell, but she's cooling off on it. God, what a my life is so boring. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop talking about my own ridiculous life. Rumsey says, I watched the sex and circumcision YouTube video that was being posted on 4chan the last few weeks. The last 20-25 minutes are worth a runtime. I have never actually, I haven't been on 4chan for the past, I don't know how long. I think the last time I went on 4chan was like 2 weeks ago or something, and I think like my big 4chan days are over, because I don't know, like it became a weird, like they kept getting raided by lefties, and I know that I shouldn't allow lefties to deter me or whatever, but for some reason it was just like, whatever. These creepy weirdos, they kept doing all of these threads on gun control and whatnot, and after a while it's just like, whatever, this is stupid, this is a waste of time. So like everything became a slide thread over time. There were a couple of good threads here and there, but yeah, maybe it's just me. It might just be me. At any rate, I'm going to it's 21 after. I actually have to do okay, I'm having another minor emergency and I have to apologize for it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly play some Esprit, and then I'm going to come back and check, or rather read a little bit of Aristotle. Okay, I'll be right back. My apologies. Crazy crap is happening in my neighborhood. On 0 in 3, 2, 1. Oh gosh. Okay, alright. Okay, let's head back over to main. Fantastic. Okay. And speaking of crazy lefties, I just remembered out of nowhere that it occurred to me the weird freaking sperg lords that keep doing their raids. Someone was saying that they may be leftists, and I don't know that they are or are not, but it occurred to me that if you look at it from a certain perspective, what they are doing would help the left. And if what they're doing does help the left and hurt our cause or our side, so to speak, then you may as well just say that they're crazy, creepy, freaking leftists that are helping out the left. I mean, who cares? I mean, these guys are basically going to be sperg lords, so if they're going to be sperg lords, just call them that. I mean, don't call, I guess, you know, now that I think about it, somebody was saying, I think it was HIV positive transgender, was saying that these people may be psychopaths. Let's pretend for a moment that they are psychopaths, because it's an interesting concept. If they are psychopaths, then what this means is that they don't actually have normal human emotions. What this means is that the only effective way of dealing with a psychopath that I have found to date is full no contact. Absolute 100% cut off. You are dead to me. If that's the case, then now that I think about it, calling them anything at all would be some form of contact, which would give them an in for further communication and engagement. Complete disengagement is the only way to deal with a psychopath. HIV transgender was suggesting that I disable the like-dislike ratio bar, which would be one way of further disengaging, which isn't actually a bad concept. Jakey says, breaking off contact from a family member psychopath is extremely hard. I concur. I've heard stories about that. I went through a brief period of time, I think like a year and change, in which I decided to look into psychopathy pretty hardcore. And while I was researching psychopathy, one of the things that I heard about were families that had psychopaths in them. And there was one particularly heartbreaking story about some parents that had a child who was a psychopath, and they were so distraught, and the only solution that they could come up with was to literally pay the kid, I think it was $10,000, to never contact them again. And they paid the kid the money, the kid left, and they never heard from him again. I mean, that's one hell of a story. And it just makes me think that, hey, it worked. Maybe there's something... Ooh. Excuse me, sorry about that. Maybe there's some way of thinking about these sperg lords in a similar context where we just say, okay, so if we regard them as simply being psychopathic, which may or may not be the case, if it is the case, yeah, we simply refuse to acknowledge them. We simply say, fine, be a creepy weirdo, and that's it. We will no longer speak to you now that you're being a creepy weirdo, and then just full no contact. Ban hammer, number one. Number two, the taking away of the like-dislike ratio. And I don't know what other steps you could take, but those would be the first two. So that wouldn't be too bad. And then, of course, any time that you are on another channel that they happen to be on, just block them on that channel and don't worry about it. I guess that would be... I'm pretty sure that's a reasonable way of dealing with it. Let me check the chat and see where we are in the chat, because I'm not getting any ads, but I am seeing my name once or twice. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure. Let's see here. HIV positive. Let's see. I guess HPT is how I'm going to abbreviate from now on. HPT says, yeah, okay, out of contact. Yes, I believe this is the correct direction. Easy of an operator says, I was thinking about this just last night. Yeah, something about the sperg lords last night. There's just obnoxious, just so obnoxious. All right, let's see here. Yeah, okay, that's an echoing of a similar sentiment. I'm going to keep going back down and make sure that I do catch I guess they aren't really ats, but anytime there's a mention, I tend to notice, not always though, not always, and I'm looking and I don't see what I was looking at initially. That sucks. That's terrible. All right. Rumsey says the last 25 minutes of Sex and Circumcision calls for a war against international financiers. Oh, really? Okay. but he doesn't dance around it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. I will totally check that out. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Coming back to 4chan, there were a lot of weirdos that popped into 4chan as well. So I guess the interlopers sometimes, they just kind of make me not want to hang out wherever they are. So it's kind of weird. It makes me think that there's something to be said for simply occupying space and refusing to leave, because in some sense they were occupying space and refusing to leave, and it did seem to have some kind of an effect anyway. Here we are talking about them, and with the Trump crowd, when they go and do their things, the left, they have to go absolutely ape, because they can't allow the MAGA hat wearing Trumpers to occupy any space. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe I'll go ahead and start a thread or two in 4chan, or maybe I'll just try to find some decent threads and then bump them here and there. I don't know. Then again, what am I talking about? I'm a freaking 40-year-old talking about 4chan. Oh god, that's so lame. Alright, I'm not gonna worry about it. Hey Babs, what's going down, buddy? Yeah, Babs, there were just some sperg lords that decided to pop through. And apparently they're like these weird 1488ers that are like just hyper weird or whatever. And they raided my channel like a month ago, and for some reason they decided that they're totally into I don't know, raids. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. It's just weird. They're being weird. Okay, let's continue down. Okay, alright, and so Rumsey says the myths have been exposed on circumcision. There is something about there's something about circumcision that I remember very vaguely, but it had something to do with oh god, I can't remember what it was, but it was this kind of chemical that that is released. I think it was related to pheromones, and it had to do with pair bonding or something like that, and it was somehow associated with the foreskin, but I can't remember exactly what it was. The concept was that by removing the foreskin, you would have less of this particular pheromone or chemical being produced in your body for some reason, so it would tend to reduce pair bonding. That's what I recall, but I mean I must be mixing that up, because that doesn't make any sense to me. I just wonder where I'm getting. I feel like as though I need to take a look at that documentary. Maybe I'll check it out and see what's going on. HIV positive transgender says I'm 1488, but they are mostly disgraceful reps of our. Yes, I completely concur. It's funny. Well, whatever. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. And since it's about halfway through the stream, maybe I don't want to move into something that would take more time. I do have to curtail this stream and keep it at 1 hour, because the edit demands that I have as much sleep as possible. And last night I got pretty reasonable sleep, but not the best. I'm finding now, especially as once you hit age 35, your growth hormone production slows. Actually, no, it goes into permanent decline. That's right. So now that my growth hormones are in permanent decline, that means that I have to preserve what strength that I possess. So this means I have to be careful about my sleep from now on, like for the rest of my life. And I have to make sure that I do at least some exercise, so that, well, anyway, whatever. It's just a big thing. Now it's just a big thing. So I have to make sure that I preserve my health as best as I can. And especially if I'm going to be doing the edit, which is going to be a lead-in into my short film project, I want to make sure that I've got all of my my cylinders firing. Even if they're misfiring, at least they're firing. That's a start. So that's the concept. So that's why I want to call the stream early tonight. and refrain from any kind of larger or deeper discussion. But HIV positive transgender did actually touch on something that is interesting. The fact that he is a 1488er relative to my... Well, then again, I guess I could probably limit myself to maybe 5 or 10 minutes on this subject. Okay, that's fine. I'll do that. Yeah, it's interesting that I'm like so not hardcore. And like maybe a year or two ago, if a person had said that they were a 1488er, I would have been like, oh my god, that's so upsetting. I can't handle this. I have to like leave the room or something like that. And now I don't see any problem with it. It's just sort of like, okay, but that guy's going to be a little more hardcore than me, and that's going to be about it. And so typically I end up feeling like kind of a wuss. I kind of feel like a you know, it's kind of like not hardcore, but like firm core, you know, like the guy who's sort of a try hard, you know. Everyone else has their collars flipped up. I've got my collar flipped down and the top button buttoned like a dork. That's kind of the, I don't know, it's just sort of funny. It's just kind of weird. I always end up feeling like a fish out of water. It's just weird. And yeah, that's right. And those guys, the sperg lords, now that I think about it, HIV positive transgender. Oh, that's right. I was going to abbreviate it to HPT. HPT, he is a 1488er, and the sperg lords, I guess they would identify as 1488er, but let's go ahead and pretend that they are formal psychopaths, because it's an interesting way of looking at the situation. If that's the case, if they are genuinely psychopaths, then I would actually say that they don't actually believe in anything, including 1488. It's nothing more than just a tool, a mechanism to gain some kind of power or to manipulate people, in which case it doesn't matter what they say. They can claim that they're 1488, or they could claim that they are intersectional feminists, and it's all the same to me. They're simply making claims. Those are just syllables coming out of their mouths, and I don't believe a word of it. In which case, the idea of claiming that they are, my indicating that I believe that they believe that they are 1488ers would be completely ridiculous. I shouldn't indicate such a thing, because there's no reason for me to believe that a psychopath believes in anything at all. So yeah, that's a much more interesting, or I think that's that would be a better take on it, in which case I should actually rescind what I said, which is that they are not 1488ers. They are merely psychopaths who claim to be 1488ers. So there we are. I think that's a more coherent vision of the general goings-on. Okay, let me check the... there is... Elaine Sabatino says, my mom told me my dad got circumcised during World War II, and Gregory Malchuk told me that it was totally unnecessary. Yes, getting circumcised is unnecessary, and I think that it's practiced more out of habit these days. Truth be told, if I had a male child, I would not see him circumcised. I would make sure that he is not. I would make sure that he is whole and healthy. So that's just the way that I would do it. Let's see here. Rumsey says, name a historical figure who literally did nothing wrong. A historical figure who literally did nothing wrong. Okay, so the person has to be historical as opposed to fictional. So this must be a person who existed in real life. I don't think that's possible. As Jesus once said, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. So no, I'm going to say that everyone has done something wrong. Whether we talk about criminal acts or immoral acts is a separate issue. But I would say that everyone is capable of making a mistake. So in this regard, I would say there's no such thing as a historical figure who did nothing wrong. Okay, let's continue down. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's some weird posting going on down there. That's funny. Okay, HPT says, yeah, exactly. The true psychopaths aren't genuine 1488ers. They just like the notoriety and prize status that comes from claiming such title. Yeah, I did notice that psychopaths, they have a tendency to employ the victim card, the victim narrative, being tormented and judged or whatever, and then playing that up so as to say, oh, look at how persecuted I am, and all this good jazz. And then they use that persecution card, that victim card, to attack others. It reminds me very much of the intersectional feminists that go on and on and on about how oppressed they are, and they always seem to find ways to oppress others while claiming to be the victim. Yeah, in this regard, it would make much more sense to think of these weird sperg lords as being nothing more than, psychopaths who take on the mantle of pariah status as a manipulation tactic. Okay, let's continue down. Okay, Rumsey is saying something about, okay, this is epic. Oh yeah, okay, it's funny. Yeah, that was epic. Okay, it was. Okay, let's continue down. There's some epic stuff going on. Let's see here. It's nice to see, by the by. I like that there are no sperg lords going crazy in the chat today. That's a pleasant change. That's a pleasant movement. That's a great direction, or a great movement in the correct direction, in my opinion. Okay, so where are we? Oh my God, the chat went crazy. Okay, there's so many. Okay, there we are. And now I am all the way down to the bottom of the chat. Toaststone says, psychopaths gaslight as fast as their eye can twitch. I concur. I've gotten some actual interactions with psychopaths, and they are by reflex action. They are gaslighters, and it sucks. It's really not good. I'm able to more or less spot the gaslighting, but that's only because I've grown so used to it. One of my favorites. Oh God, I hope I can remember how this. I hope I can remember how the story goes. But one of my favorite instances of gaslighting came from a psychopath that I met way back in 2003. And he was having an affair with a young woman. So he had a fiancée, and he was also having an affair. And one day, his fiancée's friend told the fiancée that this guy, the psychopath, was cheating on the fiancée. And the fiancée called the psychopath, and I happened to hear his side of the conversation, only his side. I did not hear what the fiancé was saying, but I was able to reverse engineer a fair amount of it based solely on what he was saying. And yeah, I'm so tired right now. It would take me a while to remember it, because I'd have to run back and forth through it. So I'm only going to be giving the briefest possible. But the net result of it was he ended up flipping everything around on her, so that by the end of it, he was saying something to the effect of, he pulled out a calculator, and he was saying, I spend approximately 3 hours a day with you. You've known your friend for 5 years. I've only known you for 2 years. But since you only see your friend once a week, and I see you every day for 3 hours a day, and he started doing math based on that, he ended up with a number where, look, I've spent so much more time with you. I've spent more time with you, so I should know you better than she knows you. And I know that I'm not lying, and she doesn't know that I'm not lying, because she doesn't know you and she doesn't know me. Something like that. And then he ended up getting her switched all the way around, so that he somehow created a situation where he was accusing her of judging him and not believing him. And of course, I knew that he was cheating on her, because I actually watched the two of them. Like, I knew the woman that he was, I knew his mistress, so to speak. And by the end of the conversation with his fiancée, he said, okay, I love you. He said, I love you to his fiancée that caught him cheating. And I don't think she said anything, because he waited for about 5 to 10 seconds and he said, hey, I said I love you. I said I love you. Look, I'm putting myself out for you. I'm putting myself on the line for you. You're the one that's accusing me of cheating, and I'm telling you that I love you. I'm still here for you, even though you don't trust me. And he got her to say I love you back. And here's the worst part of all. After that conversation was done, basically the entire, like, he forgot about it and his day continued on as though he had like ordered a sandwich. It was one of the creepiest things ever. It was so weird. So yeah, I'm used to seeing gaslighting. I'm used to seeing these kinds of things, and sometimes it still is lost on me. Like, now and again I don't catch it. Most of the time I do, though. So I would say, if you don't know about psychopathy, like, honestly, seriously, look into it. I'm not kidding. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and post something because I happen to like this. Okay. It's my honest opinion that psychopathy is a fundamental issue that people genuinely need to understand. I do not, for example, regard Hillary Clinton as a human cognitively. I regard her as a psychopath. If you just look at the things she does, the things that she says, the way that she behaves in the classic psychopath sense. So the link that I posted in the chat, that's the quickest possible introductory to psychopathy. So, excuse me, sorry about that. I'm a little bit, anyway. Yeah, HIV positive transgender says Hillary is a total psycho. Psycho could mean psychotic, and it could also mean psychopath. I don't think she is psychotic, but I do think that she is psychopathic formally. And I do understand that accusing a person of being a psychopath is probably the worst thing you can do, because you're basically saying that on a cognitive level they are not human. And accusing someone of being inhuman is really, that's a very big thing to say, in my opinion. So I don't say that lightly. As an example, that chick, the Cortez chick, the socialist from quote-unquote Brooklyn, I'm not convinced that she's a psychopath. I actually think that she's a rube. I think she's a true believer. I don't think she's a psychopath. I could be wrong, but I don't think that she's a psychopath. So this is what I mean by, I think that it's important to, I think she's retarded, to be absolutely clear on that. I think she's dumb. But I think that she's a true believer. I don't think that she is a psychopath. So this is what I mean by, it's a very big accusation, and it's very easy to bandy that term around and just accuse people that you don't like of being a psychopath. So I just want to go ahead and be very, very clear that for me, it's a very serious subject, and I do not use that word lightly, because it's honestly, it's a very, it's the, in my opinion, it actually is the worst word that you can call someone, because you are literally saying that they're not human. So anyway, I just, that's all. Okay, I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. Okay. See here, Tom Anderson. Oh no. Tom Anderson is saying at Yukio Mishima, this Eke Lux, you need to do a jaywalk. Wait, what are we talking? What is a jaywalk? What? I kind of want to know what a jaywalk. Like, are we talking about crossing the street at an odd angle? I do that like all the time. In my neighborhood, there's all these weird like little areas where it doesn't make any sense to cross the street at the intersections. Everyone just jaywalks everywhere. But I can't imagine that that's what we're talking about. I'm trying to find the context, and I'm not sure what it is. So I don't know what we're talking about. Okay, that's fine. So whatever the jaywalk is, I'm going to have to find out what that is. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to continue down. Yukio Mishima says, Eke lives in LA, right? Do a jaywalk and you might run into Luke. Oh, okay. Jaywalk. Jaywalking is the Holocaust Museum. Was Madman tier. Oh, jaywalking in the Holocaust Museum? I gotta know what jaywalking is. That's so weird. And that'd be funny to meet Luke forward. That would be so funny just to see him in real life. And then he would look at me in the eyes and go, la 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 la. And I'd be like, oh my god, this is too much for me. I can't handle this. Okay. Alright, where are we? TKUA says, hey, okay, glad I made it to the stream. Well, I'm glad that you made it to my stream too. It's super nice to see familiar usernames, even though I have no idea what the hell you people look like. It's nice to see familiar usernames. Travis Hund just added me. There we are, here we are. I'm not sure, but could psychotic be defined as more of an emotional imbalance, while psychopathic is a complete lack of emotion? Yes, I would say that's the case, in fact. From everything that I know about psychopathy, and let's be open and honest about this, the vast majority of my information about psychopathy is gleaned from, like, brochures, lectures, interviews, what is it, Dr. Robert Hare's book, Without Conscience, which I love. Anyone that doesn't know about that book should absolutely, like, if you're going to look into psychopathy, you should look into that book. I'm not joking. He literally wrote the book on psychopathy. There are, whatever, qualifiers. Just imagine what the normal qualifiers are. I'm going to have disagreements, you know, I haven't read everything about the guy, so on and so forth. He's a human being, which means he's flawed, and it's very possible for him to say and do silly things and to be wrong about things as well. So, you know, qualifiers. Point is, it's a pretty good book. It's a great introduction. And yes, I would absolutely say that psychotic is... actually, no, I wouldn't say that psychotic is being emotionally imbalanced. I would say that psychotic would be a person that has a difficult time discerning reality, as where a psychopath has no problems discerning reality. It's just that they don't care about the emotions of other people. They simply don't give a flying fuck. In a weird way, it's actually worse. A psychopath is being worse than a hateful bigot, because with a hateful bigot, at least there's some semblance of emotionality. They care about the person that they hate. With a psychopath, it's infinitely worse. They simply don't care. Here's one of the creepiest, scariest things I have ever heard in my life, and it's about a psychopath who snuck into the bedroom of two little girls. He snuck into the bedrooms, and something happened where the girls, they noticed the psychopath in their room. They were like 10 years old or something. They noticed the psychopath in their rooms, and they were going to start screaming. And he said, "Don't scream." So they didn't. And he said, "Can you go?" And they had their hands up in the defensive position near their heads. And so he said, "Can you please put your hands down?" They did so, and then he slit their throats. This is the kind of absolute horror that is a psychopath. They will do things and they will say things that you would never countenance in a million years. Casually asking a person to lower their hands so that you may kill them more easily. That's fucking batshit crazy. That's a psychopath. They understand reality. They just don't give a crap. They don't care about you, and they will kill you if it serves their purpose for whatever reason. Side note, one of the girls in that story died and the other one survived. Somehow she actually managed to survive having her throat slit. So there is some good news, kind of, you know, ish, in that one of them survived. I mean, that's a really horrible way of looking at it, but I mean, good God, anyway. Okay, I'm not going to dwell on that because that's a really... anytime you end up talking about psychopaths, invariably you start talking about some of the most depressing and horrifying stuff ever. Okay, HPT says, you cannot extend empathy to psychopaths. It will always backfire. That is absolutely correct. Anytime you attempt to... In fact, there were studies done on this where people who tried to psychoanalyze or therapize, like behavioral therapy to get them to act better, it made the psychopaths worse. So you cannot cure a psychopath, and if you try to cure the psychopath, they will learn techniques on how to better manipulate people. So putting a psychopath in therapy is actually the worst possible scenario. It's my opinion. Well, I don't want to go into that because it gets close to Fed posting, but let me just say from a hyperbolic standpoint, the best thing that you could do, that we could do in our current society, is to find psychopaths, and the moment they act out, they need to be, I think that they should be institutionalized. And in a hyperbolic sense, my idea of a proper institution would be to create some kind of an enclosure, not unlike one of those zoo pits that has a 20-foot wall or a 30-foot wall, so that they can't get out, and just make sure that they've got shade, a water bowl, and a food bowl, and just, make sure that they don't die, and that's about it. And outside of that, I don't view them as having any, they have nothing to contribute to society, basically. They are absolutely not human, firstly, and secondly, all they do is create havoc and disorder. All they do is ruin lives, and that's it. So I don't like them in the least. Okay, Travis Hunt says, I'm not sure, but could psychotic be... Oh yeah, that's right. Oops, I'm well past that. Let's continue down. Okay, where are we? HPT says, but that goes for the people who don't like... Oh, okay, we're talking about Pat Little now. Oh wait, here there's a new name up here, and I'm curious to see who this person is and what they're saying. Here we are. Ike tries to act like Patrick Bateman, but is talking psychopathy, so pretentious. Nice. Okay, so the Frozen Lights is one of our Sperg Lords. So we're gonna go ahead and ban. So there you go. We no longer have to deal with the Frozen Lights. Okay. Jew walking, says Charlene. I don't know anything about the... I don't know anything about that, so I guess I would have to look into what that means. Like, I understand that jaywalking refers to that, but I just don't know. I don't know the context. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, let's continue down. Where are we? Oh, spooky stream. Yeah. Anytime you talk about psychopathy, it always ends up being a spooky stream, and it sucks. There's no way around it. I mean, genuinely, psychopaths are absolutely the worst, and I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. Very few things scare me, and of the few things that do scare me, I would say in order it goes psychopaths, communism, and Islam. Those are the things that scare me the most. So, say what you will, that's just the way that I view the situation. Okay, let's continue down. Like The Thing, that's what I envision. Oh geez, what is he talking about? I don't know. Something tells me mobs of people sniffing out psychopaths wouldn't end well. Yes, actually you're completely correct. It would end like The Thing, and that's one of the reasons why I do not like the idea of calling everyone and everything I don't like psychopathic, because you end up in this kind of horrible mob mentality. It's not unlike the radical left, where they just call everyone racist, and then you're rooting out racists everywhere, calling everyone that, and then you just get these terrible incidents where lives just get ruined. Yeah, I completely concur. It would be bad to just declare everyone and anyone you don't like psychopath, because the mob mentality would just be out of control, probably within like a year or so, it would be awful. That said, there actually is a way that you could deal with whether or not a person is or is not a psychopath, and the easiest thing to do is brain scans. Once you do brain scans, you can actually figure it out really, really quickly. So I would say if I had my way, what I would do is I would conduct brain scans on politicians, media personnel, and bankers, and anyone that is a formal psychopath would just be ejected immediately. I wouldn't, I wouldn't go Fed post or anything on them, but I would absolutely eject them. I would make sure that they're fired and are never able to hold such a position ever again. Okay. Let's see here. TK. Oh, okay. Julian Gripper was saying something about my stream being chill, I guess. Let's see here. Contra Sin. I think infighting over little is good and necessary, but not in Eke's cozy streams. Okay, that's fine. I'm actually okay with people having spats and disputes within my stream, and fact of the matter is, I did vote for Pat Little, but at the same time, I still, he's more hardcore than I am in certain areas, and I do regard my vote for him as kind of a meme vote. So he doesn't really, what do you call, how do I express this? He was the right candidate at the right time. He pissed off the right people, and I like that. So that's why I ended up voting for the guy. But he's not really my cup of tea. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, the discourse is fine as long as people aren't getting personal and mean-spirited about it. I guess I don't mind too much. So yeah, there is that. Okay. Where are we? Oh my gosh, we were already at. Let's see here. Lo-Fi Days asks, have you ever Fed posted at someone? Eke Lux, I think I spy a fancy-dancy possible Sperg Lord in Lo-Fi Days, so I'm going to make sure to keep an eye on that guy. We'll find out if he's a weirdo or if he's actually just a normal person. We'll find out. Let's continue down. Oh, okay. I think... Let's see here. Someone posted a link to this stream on 4chan. Yeah, I think we do have another. It's possible that Lo-Fi Days is in fact another Sperg Lord. And I guess I just don't want to deal with it. So whatever. All right, I'm just gonna throw him in timeout because I don't want to deal with it. Okay. Wait, where are we? Okay, yeah, fancy dancy Sperg Lord. You are absolutely correct. Okay, anyway, so I am pretty much at the 1 hour mark now. So yeah, I'm sorry to say, but I kind of got to call it. Just because I do have to, I have to be responsible. I don't have to be responsible, but I want to be responsible. And if I want to be responsible, then I kind of have to call the stream. So I think that's the direction that I'm going to go for now. Let's see, there's a couple more ads. So let's go ahead and, oh, nice, yeah. Charlene has a nice business card. Mine is Cillian Rail typeset, and the coloration is bone, so it's pretty outstanding. Not kidding, by the way. I actually wanted to get a business card in that exact format one time because I thought it'd be really funny. So anyway, all right. Donald Robinson says that's barbaric. They didn't choose to be psychopaths. They have certain gene that triggered by early childhood trauma. That's actually possible. And when I say that I would want to excise them, what you might be referring to finding them in a pit or something. Yeah, that was hyperbole on my part, but like in real life, IRL, as long as they aren't doing anything bad, I don't think that they should be touched. The moment they do something bad, then of course just deal with them through proper legal channels. But I genuinely don't have pity for psychopaths. I view them again as being inhuman. So I understand that that's a very hard line on my part. I get it, but that's just how I view it. Okay, and then Donald Robertson goes on to say certain psychopaths need to be locked away for good, but they shouldn't be treated like animals. Yeah, I generally view that. I generally hold to that view. But it's if you knew what these so Donald Robertson says in some ways they aren't actually evil, they are just damaged. That's you're being way too easy on them. I don't I've been around them. I know what they're like, and I don't know how else to express this other than to say I've experienced them, and as far as I'm concerned, I want nothing to do with them. They are dangerous, and that's all there is to it. They're just dangerous. So I'm certainly not going to apologize for my view, but my view is hardlined. I do understand that, and that's just the way that I see the situation. Okay, let's continue down though. Where are we? Okay. Donald Robertson says, some say that the best surgeons are psychopaths. They aren't distracted by worrying. Yes, I understand that. That was from Kevin, oh God, what was his name? Kevin Dutton, I think. The Wisdom of Psychopaths. That guy was a son of a bitch. Fuck that guy. He underwent some kind of a crazy brain modification thing where they artificially induced a state, a brain state that lasted for 20 minutes to 30 minutes in which he became a psychopath. It had something to do with electromagnetics or something, and they deadened the prefrontal cortex and they deadened his amygdala, so he suffered less fear and he suffered from less empathy and upper level brain function. And he said that it reminded him very much of being drunk on half a bottle of wine. And he found that his lack of fear allowed him to do crazy daredevil stunts. I think he said he was playing video games, if I recall correctly. And he was saying that he was beating his high scores. So from a certain standpoint, yes, I do understand that a psychopath is able to do things in certain ways that a normal person is not. However, their lack of caring allows them, they don't have brakes. They don't have inhibition. The lack of brakes and the lack of inhibition is what makes them inhuman. A human will see something that they know to be wrong or incorrect or a poor action or an unethical act or something that would be cruel, and they would refrain from doing that thing. A normal person, a psychopath, would get that thought into their head and they would have no problems just doing the thing. So yeah, like if there's a $100 bill coming out of someone's pocket, they'll just take the $100 bill. If they see a woman who is drunk, half naked, and easily manipulated, they will find a way to commit basically rape on that woman because they know that they can. This is what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a psychopath. And as far as I'm concerned, the argument of well, they would make good surgeons. I understand that I'm getting kind of heated on this, but I do take the subject very seriously, and I don't view that as being a valid argument. As far as I'm concerned, no, I do not want a psychopath for a surgeon. Period. End of story. Because they'd be capable of doing things that would be irreversible to the patient, because they don't have brakes. So I completely and vehemently disagree with the idea that they would be good for certain kinds of tasks. I don't want anything to do with them whatsoever. I understand that my position is very exaggerated. I understand that I draw a firm line there, and I know that some people may not like that I draw that line, but I do. To me, this is a very important topic. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and, again, just go ahead and call it. So I am pretty tired. So I'm going to go ahead and just get ready for bed. It's already like freaking 12:09 anyway. So while I'm thinking about it, if you are ever Historicity says, talk to the female psychopath, rare as it might be. I think that female psychopaths are often... they are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I knew a female psychopath a couple years back, and fact of the matter is, she was she ruined people's lives, and it was not cool. It was not fun. I know what it's like to deal with a female psychopath. It's very unpleasant. So at any rate, okay. All of that said, if you're ever in a dark alley with a psychopath, hopefully you will have, with a psychopath who has murderous intent, hopefully you will have a concealed carry permit, and you will have trained for safety and handling of your firearm, in which case you would obviously, oh, no way, poll thread, check this, open new tab, we're going to go to a poll thread. Look at this. Look at this. Apparently, I'm poll famous now. Would you look at that? That's funny. That's funny. I'm going to sage it. Okay. No, I'm not going to sage it. What am I talking about? Okay. Anyway, if you are going to operate a firearm, the 4 basic rules ought to be imprinted on your mind. Rule number 1, treat every firearm like it is loaded. Rule number 2, never cover or sweep anything that you are not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, your finger stays off of the trigger until your sights are on target. And the 4th and final rule is be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Safety first. And I can't help but think to myself, how unfortunate. I never wanted to be on freaking poll, because that means that people will notice me. Oh God. Well, thankfully, it's probably going to be one of the, I think it's one of the Sperg Lords that posted the link. So in all likelihood, what's going to happen is it's going to get buried by any number of slide threads. No one's going to care. So I guess it's not too bad. At any rate, I hope everyone has a good evening. Thank you everyone for popping by. Tomorrow, hopefully, I will get over to the library and I'll be able to get the newest issue of Change Links, which will be super, super cool. And better still, hopefully, I will be able to find another Theater of the Oppressed event to go to, and then I can T-pose, which will be freaking cool. So that's the big thing. That's the big goal for now. So at any rate, and let me go ahead and just say, Donald Robertson, if I sound like I'm, what do you call, naysaying what you're saying too harshly, I don't mean it in that sense. It's just that I really do think that psychopathy is an extremely important and serious topic is all. So that's all that I mean. I spent a lot of time on the subject, and it became very important to me. So at any rate, I'm going to get ready to play some Alone, and while I'm thinking about playing Alone, I think it might be also a good idea to think about maybe having a tall glass of water, and also brushing and flossing your teeth. So there we go. All right, guys. On 0, rest in peace, eardrums, in 3, 2, 1.